weather, sleet, I tell you. It's Thursday, March the 8th. Here's what's making news right now.
The Tigers wade into the tournament for their last few games in the Big 12.
A big hike in water prices for some Missourians. Is it coming your way?
And the Missouri House puts the stamp of approval on some major bills. KOMU 8 News First at 5 starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News First at 5.
The Missouri Tigers are minutes away from their debut in what will be their last Big 12 tournament. Good evening, I'm Angie Bailey.
And I'm Sarah Hill. Thanks for joining us. KOMU 8's Chris Gervino is live right now in Kansas City following that pregame excitement. Chris, how's it going?
Well, here in Kansas City, it's a busy night of Missouri basketball. The Tiger women are getting set to play Oklahoma over in the quarterfinals at historic Municipal Auditorium just a few blocks away in downtown Kansas City. And here we are at the Sprint Center where the Missouri Tiger men are set to play Oklahoma State at 6 o'clock in a quarterfinal game of the Big 12 tourney. Many of the Tigers mere seconds ago walked right past me out onto the Sprint Center arena floor to get ready and warm up for their big game against Oklahoma State. It is a big night of basketball. The Tiger women and men here in KC in postseason play. Yes, folks, March Madness is upon us, and we will be live throughout the night here from the Sprint Center in Kansas City. Coming up at 6, at 9, at 10, we'll have updates and, of course, highlights of the Missouri women against Oklahoma and the men against Oklahoma State in Big 12 basketball. So that's the story for now. One quick high school note, ladies. Good news already on the basketball front. Rockbridge came from 15 points down to defeat Incarnate Word of St. Louis in the state semifinals. So the Rockbridge girls will play for a state title in Class 5A Saturday afternoon. But that's the story here from Kansas City. Chris Gervino reporting live from the Sprint Center.
Way to go, Lady Bruins. That's awesome. Chris, thanks a lot.
And, of course, the Tigers game is not just a big story in Kansas City. It's a really big deal here in Columbia as well. KOMU 8's Megan Johnson's live at Bengals, where Mizzou fans are getting ready for that big game.
That's right, Angie. Sarah, I'm here at Bengals Bar and Grill in Columbia, where they're expecting a really big crowd tonight. Now, people are just starting to trickle in to watch that game, but I spoke to workers earlier who told me that while the football games bring in their biggest crowds, these Big 12 basketball games are pretty hard to beat, too. Now, they told me that every table is usually filled and the bar is just packed and everyone gets really into it. They expect a huge crowd tonight, mostly because of Oklahoma State's earlier game this year where they beat them. You know, they're looking for a revenge game here. They expect everyone to get really into it. They told me that they love working these busy nights, not because they make a lot of money, but because the atmosphere is just super hard to beat. We'll be back at 6 with more updates. Reporting live in Columbia, Megan Johnson, KOMU 8 News.
Okay, thanks a lot, Megan.
After the scattered showers and thunderstorms rolled through earlier this morning, you may have woken up to some rumbles of thunder out there. That has since moved off further down to the south of us as we go ahead and send it on over to live Doppler 8 First Alert Radar. The cloud line slowly clearing, though, as this cold front continues to pass right on through. But that cold front does signify much cooler weather as we head on into your early morning hours tomorrow. We drop down to 29 degrees. More details on my extended forecast into your weekend coming up.
The Missouri House passed a bill today to prevent state law from giving animals the same rights as humans. The bill's sponsor says this is to keep animal rights legislation from threatening the livestock trade. It says it does not affect animal welfare regulations, but some representatives don't think the state needs the bill.
People whose constituents care deeply about ensuring that puppies are treated well in puppy mill situations are going to say, what is this bill about? Is it really about taking back the standards that we put in place to make sure those animals are well taken care of?
An animal has welfare rights, meaning, you know, clean place to live and things like that. But when it starts interfering with jobs, the way we do business.
The Senate still has to debate the bill after it comes back from spring break. You can find the full text on our website at KOMU.com.
A group of Mizzou students took to the state capitol today to protest Missouri's own Rush Limbaugh. The protest is the next step in opposition to Missouri House Speaker Stephen Tilley's plan to add a bust of the radio talker to the Hall of Famous Missourians at the state capitol. The group, calling itself Students for a Better Missouri, spoke with Tilley behind closed doors this morning.
It's been proposed that he be honored. His bust has not been placed in the hall yet, and we are hoping that they will reconsider placing him in the Hall of Famous Missourians.
Capitol Police barred our cameras from this meeting, but the student said afterwards that Tilley made no indication of changing his mind.
Well, some Mid-Missourians will be paying more for their monthly water bill next month.
KOMU 8's Alexandra Stone has your first local look at what people are saying about that possible increase.
The Missouri Public Service Commission approved a $24 million rate increase for Missouri American Water. And I'm here in Jeff City in front of there are big water towers right behind me, and they serve residents in Jeff City, Mexico, Brunswick, and many other Missouri communities. That's about 450,000 customers in Missouri. The company originally requested almost $43 million in rate increases back in June of 2011. And the commission approved $23 million for water and $725,000 for sewage. Nothing is set in stone right now, but the increase will likely mean different things for different cities. Estimates say single-family homes in Jefferson City will pay about $12 more a month for water. Water rates in Mexico will increase by more than $6, and in Brunswick, water bills will actually go down by about $2 a month. And the increase is set to be effective for service on and after April 1st. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Alexandra Stone, KOMU 8 News.
Well, animal rights groups are hard at work in the Show Me State, and a large storm surrounds planet Earth. KOMU 8's Megan Maleras has that and more in tonight's First Nation report.
Animal rescue groups in southwest Missouri are working long hours in an attempt to assist pets affected by last week's storms. Taney County animal control officers are distributing pet supplies to people who lost their homes in the tornadoes. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and PetSmart teamed up to provide funding for the effort. Officials have also set up sites where people can look for their lost pets. One of the strongest solar storms in years surrounded the Earth early today. However, according to officials, the planet essentially was untouched. There have been no reports of issues with power grids, satellites, or other technology that often malfunction during these types of storms. According to early observations, this solar storm is about 10 times stronger than Earth's normal winds. And the First Lady and the Secretary of State honored a group of women at the 2012 International Women of Courage ceremony today at the nation's capital. Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton honored the women for their hard work and consistent leadership in speaking out for women's rights. Many of the recipients have spoken about how they survived suicide attacks, torture, and rape. That's your first look around the nation. Now let's send it over to KOMU8's Jamal Andrus with your First World Report.
All right, thank you, Megan. Today, we're going to start in South Korea, where the South Korean trade minister met with members of the American Chamber of Commerce today in the South Korean capital. The trade deal between the two nations will go into effect in about a week. South Korea's trade minister said it would improve the country's competitiveness in the U.S. market. The deal will be the United States' biggest free trade agreement since NAFTA in 1994. Next, we're going to go right across the water to Taiwan, where farmers threw eggs at the Agricultural Council today in protest of U.S. beef imports. Imports of U.S. beef were recently found to contain the growth enhancer ractopamine. Although the government said only beef that passed safety checks would be allowed, farmers are worried the imports may affect their livelihoods if the U.S. demands to export pork that contains the growth enhancer. Lastly, we head to the Middle East, where Afghanistan's National Security Advisor says talks over a strategic partnership with the U.S. past the 2014 withdrawal are faltering. Issues include Afghanistan's demand that foreign troops stop nighttime raids in the country, as well as the country's requested control of a detention facility in an airbase. And that's your look around the world tonight.
Teen smoking no longer overlooked, while the U.S. Surgeon General is pushing for stronger laws.
And coming up in our online buzz, a Wisconsin senator wants to penalize single mothers.
And sunshine returns to close out your work week, and temperatures begin a gradual increase into your weekend. I'll have the details coming up next on KOMU 8 News, first at 5.
There's a live look over Columbia Regional Airport. You can chat with us on our streaming newscast page. Click on the banner at the top of KOMU.com. Also, jump in on our Cyber Couch conversation. If you have a webcam, you can join our Google Plus Hangout. Tell us what's news to you. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5. Coverage you can count on.
The First Alert Weather Cam is brought to you by your Heart of Missouri Chevy dealers. Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather with meteorologist Michelle Bogowith.
Well, the evening rush is on. 5:10 is your time. You're taking a live look out over Highway 63. Those days are going to be fantastic next week.
That is going to feel great.
Yesterday was fantastic in short sleeves, and here we are today. I'm in a turtleneck, you know.
The kids were complaining that it felt cold.
A little chilly.
It's rainy today. All right, thanks, Michelle.
Alzheimer's disease, a black hole in the nation's budget.
Coming up in a health report, why it is so expensive. In your health news today, the U.S. Surgeon General said health officials need to be doing more to keep young Americans from using tobacco. She suggests creating more smoking bans and increasing taxes on tobacco products. This statement comes after today's report showing almost 1 in 5 high school age teens that is, smoke. The number is lower than previous decades, but the rate of decline is slowing. And the number of Alzheimer's patients is expected to increase, and so is the cost of treating them. According to the Alzheimer's Association, the disease could cost the nation $200 billion just this year alone. That $200 billion figure includes a $140 billion paid by Medicare and Medicaid. So why is it so expensive? Alzheimer's patients tend to need hands-on care and often have more than one serious illness. And ladies, raise your glass. Moderate drinking can actually help your health. Brigham and Women's Hospital found women with light to moderate alcohol consumption, about 1 glass, had a 20% lower risk for stroke. Compounds in the alcohol may prevent blood clots and cholesterol from sticking to the inside of arteries.
And next on KOMU 8 News at 5, we're talking about Stop KONI, that nonprofit trying to raise awareness. It's drawing supporters and criticism as well. That's next in our Continuing the Conversation. By now, you probably have heard of Joseph Kony. He is a militia leader in Uganda who's accused of abducting children and forcing them to fight. Earlier this week, a half-hour documentary was released up to international pressure to arrest Kony. And since that documentary's release, there have been a number of criticisms and supporters as well. Sarah Southard says, I think it's something people need to do more research on and move cautiously. Tricia Sexauer says, I'm all for supporting this cause. I hope people don't use it as a political advantage. And Donna Brown-Null says, we really don't know the source. I've seen comments that this has been going on for 20 years. In Wisconsin, a senator introduced a bill that would penalize single mothers for their single status. He believes their single status is a contributing factor to what he calls child abuse and neglect. KOMU 8's Allison Brown is here with your online buzz.
Sarah, so far the comments are saying this proposed bill is downright ridiculous. So let's take a look at what some of you had to say. We have Penny. She says he is obviously an ignorant moron. I was a single mom for 9 years with 2 children. I did it by myself, and my children have turned out okay. In fact, my son is serving this country. Next, we have Todd. He says, how about penalizing the fathers who shirk their responsibilities? And last, we have Nicole. Seriously, I think some marriages are a form of child abuse and neglect by staying in them. This bill is nuts. Now, if you would like to join today's conversation, please log on to KOMU.com/Facebook. Back to Angie in the studio.
Who doesn't jump at the chance to clip some good coupons? We'll tell you what happens when you take it too far, though.
Justice in Sustainable Development, we've got a look at the discussion on protecting areas around the world from flooding, famine, and other catastrophes.
And we will continue to see the sunshine over the weekend. In fact, warmer weather for next week. We'll talk all about it starting tomorrow morning at 4:30.
And looking at the myth, find out how Stevens College is shedding light on an infamous public housing development through film. We're your only TV station to turn live and local with coverage you can count on starting at 4:30 a.m. See you tomorrow for KOMU 8 News Today.
Well, the rain does look to stay away from us during those overnight hours. Skies will begin clearing as well, and we drop down to 29 degrees to start your morning tomorrow.
The Tigers, they're a little more than 30 minutes away from the start of the postseason. KOMU 8's Megan Johnson has that scene in Columbia where sports bars, they are starting to fill up. Megan?
Sarah, Angie, I'm here in front of Bengals Bar and Grill where people are slowly trickling in, but a half hour to game time now and the bar is filling up quickly. Now, workers there told me that they expect a really big crowd tonight. Doesn't quite beat football games, but still expected to be pretty packed. We'll be back at 6 o'clock with more. Reporting live in Columbia, Megan Johnson, KOMU 8 News.
Here's one for you, folks. Everyone likes saving a dollar, sure, but today a Pennsylvania woman was a little too extreme in her endeavors to coupon. 58-year-old Linda Altman would wait for the newspaper delivery trucks to come and unload bundles of paper. And as soon as that truck would pull away, she would then load a bunch of newspapers into her SUV and take off. Police got a tip that led to her arrest only after she stole about $2,700 worth of papers in about 17 months, all for the sake of those coupons inside the papers.
The phone's ringing there after you. That was really you, right? She's reading the story,
No.
acting like it wasn't
I
her,
wouldn't even know
so.
where I want to know what they do with the papers that don't sell. I guess maybe I'll look into that. Where do those papers end up? They got to put some. Anyway.
Hey, coming up at 6 tonight, Branson, going back to some of that tornado destruction, there are animals there who are actually helping with the recovery effort, and animal rescue groups are searching for some of those lost animals after the tornado.
And, of course, more updates on the Big 12 Championship as more teams battle it out on the court for that winning title, the last one for the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, Chris Trevino, a busy guy tonight. He's live everywhere, so appreciate the reports from him. That is our time for now. Thanks for watching. I will see you at 11 a.m., but these gals will be back at 6.
That's right. We'll see you in just a little while. Have a great evening.